As I say, I will deal with properties in more detail at a later webinar that I will do. If we then move down to settings, you can see that there are a whole raft of different settings associated with Maestro Live. A lot of these are going to be driven as well by the different modules that you have selected. In this case, we've got just about all of them there. So we've got items like MC3. Sorry, let me go back. MC3 settings, proactive maintenance, street lighting, street cleansing, and there'll be others added as more and more modules get defined and created. So you set up the initial modules within the settings right here. You can also set up the different defect types. Defect types are used for, you define things like potholes, broken street lamps, rocking flagstones, broken barriers, types like that. You can actually define different task types. You can define resources. Resources are the things that you use to fix the defects. You can define defect priorities. You can actually define a workflow. This was built rather for Colas UK and specifically for Portsmouth, but it may be also useful within Australia. But basically, if they have a priority one defect, then there are three stages that have to take place, which is 1 hour immediate fix, 24 hours temporary fix, and 24 days permanent fix. And we just define that within this. Repeating documents. This is where you would set up things like street cleansing, weed spraying, that type of area. And here is also my first chance to show you a very, very important function with virtually every screen within Maestro Live, and that's the filter panel. You need to get to know the filter panel because it's your friend. Click on Show Filter Panel, and you'll see that essentially what you've got here is all the fields that you can see across here. But you can actually use these filter panels then to actually select specific or exclude specific tasks. So you may want to have street cleansing annually. Do we have any? I would be rather surprised, and we don't. You wouldn't expect that to be the case, but you can see the power of it. It's actually is able to, using the filter panel, you're able to search everything within this function for a specific set of criteria that you define here. You can hide the filter panel. The criteria will still exist. You will see here two filters are active. And you can see the number of records that have been found that meet that criteria. So talking about repeating documents rather than filter panels now, then you can see all the different types of repeating tasks are defined here for the different blocks. Friday block route 1, Friday block route 2, etc., etc. So here is how you define the routine tasks that your guys will need to do. Streets is a little bit more of a legacy item, and it's really for smaller clients that wouldn't have access to street gazetteers and whatnot. But you can actually create your own streets within this. As you can see here, we've picked these up actually from GIS, so there'll be quite a number of streets. But typically you can also create, if you don't have a GIS system, you can actually create your own streets, and you have a mapping function that you can actually create the length. So the net effect is what you see here. RAG periods. RAGs are used as red, amber, green, and it's a very simple way of being able to control how you tell your users if they are getting near to a changeover period. So if they're well within their SLAs, of course it's going to be green. As they approach their SLA, they're going to get amber, and as they go over the SLA, or as you can see here at 90%, they will actually be going into red. And so you can, and very, very easy to set up, as you can see here. Literally, you define a color, so green, and you select it from the color bar. Then you start from in percent. So the start from 0% to 60% is always going to be green, 60% to 90% is going to be amber, and 90% onwards is going to be red. You can easily change this value. You can see you can change the color, you can change the start from, and you just click update and it's done. This is how you would control this is how you would control. If we go to tasks, you can see how it's used. You can see down here the different colors of the task numbers. This is actually the red, amber, green function in action. You can set up an email template. This is for telling people that something has happened. You can set up grades, task priorities. You can define schedules. So this is where you would add your bank holidays, your working days, how long a working day is. You can set up resource tabs. I wouldn't worry too much about that. We'll discuss that in more detail later. Resource unit. This is where you can define if the resource is handled in tons, pounds, kilos, cubic meters, square meters, whatever length, days, hours, whatever it is that you measure that resource in. So human resources is typically going to be a day, an hour, something of that ilk, whereas material, it would be by ton or by pound or by kilo. Stat packs. Stat packs are where you would define things like risk assessment items. Again, I will discuss those in more detail later. This is where you set up your dashboard, and you've got some systems configurations and some setting configurations here. Setting configurations is where you start defining a little bit of the global values. So you can see that the RAC, again, this is because it's for Colas UK specific, but the RAC default assignee key is to Lorraine Daly, whereas the Ramrad default assignee key is to Paul Taylor. But you can edit these. You can set the currency symbol. You can set the CSV delimiter value. You can see here we can also take MailChimp APIs. So this field here, which would be used to define where we would display MailChimp, and this field here shows the MailChimp API. You can define start and stop shift times, which the system will then use to work out what the working day looks like. Stop alert is something you don't have to worry about right now. You didn't know I was a member of the CIA, but there I am. The map configuration, this is where we define the map layers. So for you, at the moment it's ArcGIS, and it's basically Colas in the UK, but for you it may be something completely different. Smarts is the BI user, which will be discussed in more detail later. Smarts, so all this Smarts configuration stuff is all about business intelligence. And this is to test your instance, which would be slightly different for you. And as you can see, there's actually another series of records that you can investigate, time zones, etc., etc. So all the stuff you need to do. Good thing about settings is that once you set them up once, typically that's it. You don't need to come back in again. Not unless you've added a new module or you have actually ended up, you needed to change things, edit things.